Okay, this is a quick video to guide you through some of the basics of the background check drug screening process, which we in short just call Castle Branch. Castle Branch is actually a third-party entity that we hire at the college, or that we require students use at the college, that manages the entire background check process for us. So when you hear the words Castle Branch, background check, kind of the same thing. We just generally call it Castle Branch as an encompassing word for all the things that you need to do for the background check, drug screen, health check process. All right, so let's take a look at what this looks like and how really to start this journey. The first thing that you want to do is go to the college website. And from there, go to My Mercy. You can obviously get there quicker once you bookmark this and all of that. But I'll just show you the basic way. Then from here, from My Mercy, you'll find a tab over here, a link called Background Check, Drug Screens, and Health Records. Click that. That is where you're going to want to do kind of this essential work for this. In here, basically, in this page is almost all of your questions will be answered on how to do the background check process. So you'll want to read through this, but I'll draw your attention to a couple of things, kind of the essentials at this point. One is the student checklist. That's a nice thing to start with. Print out, print out that PDF, that student checklist. Another one is going to be the program requirements and overview. That one is that's going to show you. Let me just pull this up for a second. So that one's going to show you kind of the essential what various things, documentation you need to gather for all of the programs here at the college. Now on here for most of our for the HCA program, we're going to follow the same requirements. Whoops, listed right here for the Health Information Technology program. That's also another administrative-based program at the college. So you can see what's required: an MMR documentation, varicella, but no hepatitis B and no BLS training, that's basically CPR training. That's not going to be needed. So there are a couple of things you don't need because you're not a frontline healthcare worker. All of the other ones will be in there. So that'll guide you through that. So each one of these has a category at the top, so you can see there. And if you don't know anything about the categories, you can always go back to this main area here under My Mercy after it loads and get all information that you want about each one of these areas. Kind of sort of a little PDF kind of explanation on each one of those. Again, some of them aren't going to be required, such as like the healthcare provider BLS. That's not going to be required, but they're all in there, so you can find out what each one of those means as you work through completing that documentation. When you look at the student checklist, which will be right up here, again, we'll kind of a nice little thing to print out. You can start checking off the things that you're going to need. Again, not all of these things are needed. So when you go through the checklist, I mean, if you did get all of them, that's great. But for various programs, some of these items aren't required. So that's why that other PDF I showed you that had the yeses and the nos is good, because you can kind of line through some of those. Again, just going off of here real quick, like the American Heart Association, not going to be required there, so you don't need to worry about that. But the checklist does help you keep organized as you kind of work through the process. So I'd recommend definitely printing out that one, again, the checklist, and printing out the program requirements overview. Okay, so you're going to go through this. You're going to be collecting this basically documentation that you've had your various your various inoculations and whatnot throughout time. And much of this you may have already done, and it may be at your current healthcare provider. So you're going to want to contact your current doctor, general practitioner, wherever you might have your healthcare work being done, and see if this is not already in your file. That's for most of our students are getting most of this because this stuff has already been done at some point and is on record. Once you've collected the documentation required, and again, if you don't know, like, well, what kind of documentation do I need, you could go to these PDFs and it will tell you exactly, what is required. So it may be something very simple that your doctor can pull, or your doctor's office staff can pull out of your current file, email to you, and then you'll have that documentation. Once you've collected all of these, basically these pieces of paper, you will then uh, open, or really at any time you can open your Castle Branch account. So you'll go to this link here and start your Castle Branch process to open that up. The Castle Branch account will be a place where you're going to upload this documentation. Okay. Also in there, that'll be most of the health oriented things. Will be pieces of paper that you will upload that prove that you have these various vaccinations done. The other thing that's kind of non-vaccinated, vaccination oriented in general is the background check. And that you will find, you can find how to do that. That'll be laid out in here in the background check process on how to get that set up. You'll actually go to an entity and get your fingerprints done, and they do a background check, based off of fingerprints and the information that you provide. And it's a criminal. Basically, we're looking at a criminal background check. That information then will be moved over to your Castle Branch account once complete. So again, that's kind of nice. Castle Branch will give you a dashboard. It will show you kind of everything that you've submitted, that they've received from background check processes, and you'll want to make sure that kind of all the green check marks are met as you start uploading your various items. On my end, we do have the ability to look at that and see what's missing as well. So once we got all the check marks done with all the basic requirements, again, which you find in that program requirements overview sheet, get the one with the yeses and the nos in there. uh, you're all set. You're all set to go. So let's say you have some questions about the process as you're going through. A great sheet on here is Castle Branch frequently asked questions for students. That's great. Again, a lot of tips and frequently asked questions are right in this area. Also, additional forms that you're going to, or just general forms that you'll need to do as you're working through that checklist, are found in this area as well. So most questions, I'd say 98% of your questions are answered in this area. And then all of the additional forms that you might need, students' consent and disclosure forms and acknowledgement forms that you have to download and sign, and then you'll upload that to Castle Branch, are found there. Now, to open up your Castle Branch account, you will need a code, and that code will be provided to you. The code is specific to each program here at the college because each program has slightly different health screen requirements. And having that code, they know what background requirements that you're needed to obtain. Also, something to be aware of with the Castle Branch process, there is a fee involved to set up Castle Branch, where they think that fee right now is running about $164 to set that up. That will include the background check and the drug screen process in there that will be done. So no additional monies for that. Some other things just over the years, students, especially if they find out they don't have some of these information in here. Uh, and again, I would recommend everybody should be having health insurance at this point. Many of these things are provided at no charge through general health insurance that you may have. So you should be able to, I say knock on wood, should be able, if you happen to be missing any of these vaccinations, should be able to get these vaccinations through normal insurance mechanisms. If not, we have occasionally had a few students who have not been able to get some of these vaccinations basically through a normal insurance. They have been able to obtain free vaccinations through local health clinics, local health departments. So if you find yourself in that situation, you may want to look at that. It might save you $20, $30 if you were looking at some out-of-pocket expense. Vast majority of students, though, have many of this already met. Much of this has been required, throughout time as you go through various, elementary and high school and whatnot. Even most students, you have this done as a pre-employment situation. So this may all look very familiar to you because you've already gone through this for your current job if you are working in a healthcare facility. All right, so there you go. This should get you completely started here. Again, once you get that program code, you can go ahead and open up that Castle Branch account. But that doesn't mean, even if you can definitely start collecting information before you have that Castle Branch account established, because you know exactly what you need, because the program requirements overview uh, PDF, which we looked at here, tells you exactly, you're going to need MMR, for example. And then you can go here and go, well, what does MMR mean? And then you can go over here and find out it's measles, mumps, and rubella. Again, you should probably have that at your doctor, and you would contact your healthcare provider. I'm just pulling up the MMR. So it's making sure that you've had that MMR vaccine done, and verification of that. So there you go. So you can always read more information on that. All right, so there you go. That gets you started on the Castle Branch process. One final note: if you have any questions in the email, there is we do have a kind of a hotline or hot email to answer questions. That's clinicalcompliance@mercycollege.edu. So feel free to email that. That's monitored by a few folks here at the college, and they can those 2 to 3% questions that aren't answered on the on our general page right here, they can usually get you through that process. All right, so good luck with your Castle Branch process.